Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of our favorite trade setup. My name is Raul, and I'll be your host this afternoon. If you can hear me and see our title slide on the screen, could you type a Y or a yes in your chat box? Excellent, thank you. Jesse, Matt, Peyton, Ian. Ian, welcome. Wow, a lot of familiar names here. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We'd love for you to ask questions, as always, and we'll do our very best to answer them. The entire Trading Winds and Metastock team is here to attend to your questions. Time permitting, there will be a formal Q&A session at the end for any trading-related queries. If we're ready, let's get right into it, and let me introduce you to our speaker for this afternoon. Vince Moore is a senior trader here at TradingWinds.com. Over the last 3 decades, he has been trading and refining his trading systems that are based on technical analysis and price action. Over the last few years, his focus has been on teaching people how to become better traders. His systems range from simple to complex and can be used in any market conditions to trade stocks, options, futures, and Forex. Now, I had mentioned earlier that this is a very special edition, our favorite trade setup. Let me bring in Vince, and we'll discuss why this is a special edition. Vince, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and welcome, everybody.
How are you?
I'm great, and I actually see, like you were saying, a lot of familiar names. Just a couple. I noticed Matt is on here, and also our buddy Wags from Australia is joining us. Thanks for joining us, Ian. I don't know what time it is there, actually, but if it's the middle of the night, thanks for staying up. And yes, you're right. It is a very special presentation because it's something that our friend Jeffrey Gibby from Metastock has been working on for a while. He's put a lot of work into this, and we are very pleased with the results. We're quite impressed, and so we're happy to reveal our new indicator to you tonight.
It's an exciting day. This is one of our first indicators that we've programmed. I know you're going to go into it in quite a bit of detail. The agenda for today is as following. Vince is going to talk about his favorite trade setup webinar. A lot of you may have heard it in the past, so as Vince always says, repetition is good for the mind. At that point, he's going to hand over the mic to Jeffrey Gibby from Metastock, who's going to tell you in great detail about the indicator itself and how it's been programmed and how you can use it. And then Vince will come back in for a Q&A. Yeah. Vince, we've got about an hour. Let's get going.
Okay, great. Ben, I see your note about volume. I've turned it up a little. I hope this works for you. I'll try to speak up as much as I can. Great, thank you. And yes, great. Since we do have a lot of familiar faces, I know many of you have seen this presentation in the past, but repetition is great for learning. It never hurts. So let me go through this. I'll go through this a little quicker than usual. But let's get started. So for the benefit of those who are seeing this for the first time or seeing us for the first time, us here at Trading Winds, we are a group of pro traders with well over 30 years of experience. And we're actually real traders and teachers, and we've been developing our own systems and strategies and teaching people around the globe from beginners to experts. Now in today's presentation, I will quickly share the same money management rules that myself and the other traders here use on a daily basis. I'll tell you exactly what you're going to need for this, and then our friend Jeffrey Gibby will show you the indicator on the Metastock platform. I'm going to walk you through the setup step by step, and then we will try to answer as many questions as we can for you. Okay, a few poll questions just to make sure I'm giving you everything that we can here. Out of curiosity, how many of you here have seen me present at an event or a webinar before? If you should receive a little pop-up box there, please make your selection. I promise we only have a few questions here, and then we'll get right into it here. I guess Ben is joining us for the first time. He's asked for the name. It's Vince Moore. I'm Vince Moore from TradingWinds.com. Oh, I see Sandy's joining us. Welcome, Sandy. And a few others. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's move on. Can you please tell me which market do you trade most? Is it stocks, options, futures, or Forex? Please make your selection. Thank you very much. And on average, how many trades do you place per month? Is it 1 to 10, 11 to 20, or are you very active? Please, once again, make your selection.
This reminds me of that. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Please make your selection.
Yes, that's right.
Ask the audience.
Yeah. And one last question for you, and I don't believe we have this. You won't see a pop-up box, but if you could just enter it in your chat. Out of curiosity, how many of you are currently using Metastock? How many of you have the software and are currently using? Please just type a Y or N into the chat, and I will move on here and get started. So remember, trading can be very risky if you don't know what you're doing, so please educate yourself and do not trade with real money until you're completely comfortable. On that note, let me tell you how we reduce the amount of risk we take when trading. Number one, you should never trade with money you can't afford to lose, and I'm sure you've heard that many times, but really what this is all about is trading with an amount that is small enough that it feels completely insignificant to you. Trading is so much more about how you manage a trade once you're in it than it is selecting that entry. And once you're in it, you need to remain calm, be able to think clearly, and manage that trade appropriately. And if you're worried about the amount of money you have in there, you simply won't be able to do that. So regardless of the amount, make sure it feels completely insignificant to you. Now, you should also never risk more than 5% of your account balance in any one trade. And if you have a larger account, please consider reducing this to 2.5% or even 2%. You will still have a sizable trade on, but will reduce your risk considerably. Also, you should never have more than 50% of your account balance active in the market at any one time. Reason being, there are so many factors that are completely out of our control when trading, and to reduce our risk of loss should an event like 9/11 happen again. If you only have half your account in there, you'll reduce the impact, and you will have another 50% there waiting that you can put back into the markets and make back that loss. And with the system, it really wouldn't take you very long. Lastly, you should spread your trades out. Okay? You'll see many setups with this, and you should select the 1 or 2 best entries per time frame. We've seen a lot of volatility lately in the markets, and there's been many times where the Dow has been up 300 points and the very next day it pulls right back. So on a huge up day or a huge down day, if you jump in and put in a lot of trades, the very next day the market retraces on you, you're going to find yourself in a big hole, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. So spread your trades out, pick the 1 or 2 best per time frame. A couple of the other sayings that we live by here: you will never go broke taking profits. And I really want you to write this down and remember this if you're just starting out. You know, as you gain experience in the markets, you will learn how to remain in a trade a little longer each time and squeeze out every bit of profit you can. And our indicator will help you with that for sure. But if you're just starting out, get used to banking those profits when you have them. Trust me, it'll pay off in the long run. And please remember that trading is never about whether you're right or wrong. That's important. It's not about ego, but it is all about how much money you make when you're right versus how much money you lose when you're wrong. So what will you need to trade this? You know, the only indicator we're going to have on our charts is the 20-period simple moving average, and just about any charting platform has that. So there is no need to go out and buy new hardware or complicated software. You have everything you need, and this indicator that I'm going to show you tonight, the job Jeffrey's done on it, is going to really show you just how powerful this is. Now, the benefits of this trading system: it will work on any market, stock, options, futures, and forex, globally, any time frame, any price level. You don't need a lot of experience to trade this. It is very simple and easy to spot on a chart. Has very clear entry and exit points, and it really is strong enough to be used as a standalone system, but can be a great complement to whatever you're trading now. A bit of a background on when we first sat down to create this, there were 5 things that we wanted to really have. One was it had to be simple to spot on the chart. When we first created this, we actually had a lot more indicators on our chart. And then we realized that although our accuracy rate was very high, our activity level wasn't very high, because the chances of all those indicators lining up at one time just made it very difficult. So we started peeling back the indicators and retesting them. We found that with every indicator we pulled off, our accuracy rate really didn't drop much, but our activity level went up. So in the end, we wanted something that was very clean and easy to spot on a chart. We also wanted something that could be used with just about any platform, and we have that. Something easy enough to be used just about by any trader or investor, and more importantly, it had to have extremely low risk, which it does, and had to be consistently profitable. And we have traded this through many different types of market environments over the years, and it has been very consistent for us. So there are two things that you're going to need for this. One is the 20-period simple moving average, and secondly, what you're going to be looking for are engulfing candlestick patterns. And I'll show you exactly what I mean step by step. But for the benefit of those here for the first time and just beginning to trade, a simple moving average is calculated by adding the closing price of the security for a number of time periods and then dividing this total by that number of time periods, just a straight average. And the engulfing pattern is actually a reversal pattern, okay? And it can be bearish or bullish depending on whether it appears at the end of a downtrend, being a bullish engulfing pattern, or at the end of an uptrend, which would be a bearish engulfing pattern. So let me bring up my charts and bring up my Metastock platform and walk you through this, okay, step by step. Now, there are a couple things you always want to look for when you bring up a chart, and that is trend and momentum. So trading a nice clean chart that's slowly trending in one direction or the other you're putting the odds in your favor. That's what you're trying to do, is make trading easy on yourself, and that's exactly what you want to do. Now, when it comes to momentum, the way we judge momentum is by the slope of either the bars or the candles, okay, or the moving average. And this is where the 20-period moving average comes in so nicely, right? Because even during times of a retracement or pullback, okay, that you could easily mistaken as downward momentum, the fact that the 20-period maintains its slope higher helps you understand that this is simply a temporary pullback before the continuation of the trend, okay? So when it comes to momentum, you can have slight momentum in your favor, okay, or you can have greater momentum in your favor, or you can have very significant momentum in your favor, and that's the key. The more significant that slope, the better. And it works exactly the same way to the downside, okay? You can have slight momentum, slightly more momentum, or very significant momentum lower. And the more significant that slope is, the more momentum it is. And it's like literally like having a wind at the back of the candles propelling them forward. So that's exactly what you want. Okay? So let me clear this off, some of this off, and show you exactly what I'm referring to here with the setup. So in this area here on the chart of the Qs, we had this nice slope higher here, and then we got a pullback or retracement. And it's in this area that we are looking for that reversal pattern in the form of a bullish engulfing pattern to tell us that this retracement is over and that this trend higher is going to continue. So I will highlight this here for you and show it to you. I'll try to mark this out for you on the chart here, and then see if I can zoom in for you. So for a long trade, what you're looking for exactly is the move higher, or with momentum, sorry, the slope, a pullback or consolidation, and then in this area here, you are looking for this bullish engulfing setup, which will look similar to this. And there's a difference here between the setup and the trigger to get you in the trade. Now, for the purposes of the setup, what you're looking for is you're only looking at the bodies of the candles, not the wicks, just the bodies. Okay? And you're looking for the body of the candle on the right to completely engulf the body of the candle to the left. Okay? They can be at the same level, top or bottom, but the body of the candle to the left cannot exceed the open or close of the candle to the right. Okay? And for a long setup, you really want this candle, the engulfing candle, to be a green candle because you want it to close as close to its highs of that time period as possible. The closer to its highs, the stronger that move tends to be. Okay? And this reversal signal is telling you that this pullback or retracement is over and that this move is going to continue. Now, your trigger to get you in the trade here, what you're going to be waiting for, and you're going to incorporate the wicks at this point, you're going to look for a trade just above the absolute high of that engulfing candle. Should you get that trade, you go long and you put your stop just below the low of that same candle. So your risk is always contained to the range of that one candle. Okay? And right here on the cues, you can see during this pullback, there was a nice solid engulfing pattern where this the body of the green candle completely engulfed the much smaller body of the red. Once we broke above that high, off it goes. Okay. Now, a couple of very important rules to remember when you get the reversal signal here. The first one is that if the stock trades below the low of this engulfing bar first, then the trade is disqualified or negated. Okay. That one rule alone will save you from most of the losses that you would otherwise have with the system. The second rule is that if two more bars complete and you still have not broken above the high, again, it's disqualified. Reason being, obviously the momentum wasn't as strong as we initially thought. Okay. So if you follow those rules, most of the trades that would not work out with the system are not even losing trades. They're just negated or disqualified trades. Okay? Let me show you a couple of other examples here. I'm going to bring up a chart of UAL. And again, what are we looking for? We're looking for trend and momentum. Okay? And you can measure that slope either by the bars or by the moving average. Okay? And then we're looking for a pullback or consolidation. Now, this pullback or consolidation, it doesn't matter how far it goes. In other words, it can end just in front of the moving average, it can overlap it, or it can end beyond it. What matters, what's most important, is that at the time that you get your bullish engulfing pattern or your reversal signal, what's important is that that slope on the 20-period moving average has been maintained. Should this pullback go too far, then the moving average would start flattening out. And if it does, at that point it means we've lost momentum and you do not want to take that trade. Okay? Then once you have that pattern, you're looking for a trade above the high to trigger you in, and your stop goes just below the low of the same candle. Now, in this case, you may not be able to see it. There's a small candle behind my drawing here, which actually triggered us in, and then the following day it gapped up. So we got lucky on that one. But should your entry point, meaning that trade above the high, happen on a gap like that, then you have to reassess your risk. Your risk is no longer the range of the one bar, but it's from the opening of that gap to the bottom of that candle. So it's increased risk. So you got to be aware of gaps. And if that's too much risk for you, then just forget about it. Typically, when there is a sustained trend, up or down, you typically get multiple opportunities to enter along the way. So if one bar is too long, there's too much risk, or it happens on a gap, you can feel free to forget about that and wait for the next setup. Okay? Let me show you a sample to the short side. Okay? So it's the same thing that we're looking for, trend and momentum lower. Now there are several setups here, and a couple of them I'm going to show you at first here are examples of trades that would have been disqualified or negated. Okay? So here, the stock gaps lower on earnings and continues to trade lower. It then consolidates for a few days. We still have our slope in place, and we get a bearish engulfing setup. So at this point, we'd be looking for a trade below the low of that engulfing candle to go short and then put our stop above the high. But in this case, the next candle trades above the high first. That disqualifies the trade. Okay? Then a little while later, we get another bearish engulfing setup right in here. Okay? But the next two candles do not trade below the low. So we get two full candles, and we still haven't broken that low. Again, and in this case, you can see that the moving average had gone flat. So again, this trade has been disqualified. We give it a bit more time, and now this time we do get a very nice setup in here. Okay, we break the low, we enter short, our stop goes just above the high, and off it goes. Okay, off the trade goes. So that's exactly what you're looking for. And we have another couple of instances here where we get triggered in as well in here, and the trade works out very nicely. Okay. So a couple more examples, and then I will bring Jeff on to show you how the indicator will do all of this for you. All right. Let me show you a chart of Starbucks here. There we go. Again, all we're looking for is trend and momentum. Now, sure, hindsight's 20/20. It's easy to go back and find these areas with slope, but it's just as easy to spot new trade setups, because all you're doing is looking at this part of your chart, the far right. And you can see clearly here that Starbucks has lost momentum right now. It's flat. So we can quickly skip this chart because there is no momentum. Should it be a period like this where there's sharp momentum, then we keep that on our watch list. We wait for a pullback and a reversal signal like there was right back in this area here. Oops, I misdrew that. Let me draw that again for you. Right in here. So in other words, we had a nice slope higher, whether you measure it from the bars or the moving average. Okay? We had a nice orderly pullback, and in this area we got this nice strong engulfing pattern. Wait for a trade above the high, which happened the very next day, okay? And off it went. Okay? So this helps you pick out the easy trades, okay? The trades that have trend and momentum in your favor, putting the odds in your favor. Let me show you another one here, and then let me see, how are we doing on time?
We've got about 7 minutes.
Okay. So here's an ETF. Let's see now. Let's pull these out. I believe there's one there, and there's a couple there. If there's any questions on the actual setup or anything like that that I can answer now, it would be a great idea before Jeffrey comes on, just to make sure everyone fully understands this. So
one of our long-time members, Sandy, had a question.
Sure.
Saying one of the things I'm not sure I've heard you address before, Vince, but does volume on the trigger bar have any impact? All things being equal, would a high volume bar have greater significance, maybe for position sizing, than a low volume bar?
No, it really would not. We do use volume in other ways, and Sandy, we've actually talked about it in our mastermind class. Sandy's a mastermind member, but we use volume more to identify tops or bottoms than we do just trends like this. But what we found is if you have the momentum in your favor and you have the proper setup and you're following these rules, you will do very well without volume.
Dennis, who I've seen a couple of times on our market chats as well. Dennis, welcome. Sandy, welcome as well. Dennis says, so the trigger is the top of the body of the engulfing candle, but didn't we say for RSI triggers at 50, we use that tail also, not the body?
Yeah, no, for the setup here, you're only looking at the bodies, but for the trigger, you incorporate the wicks as well. You incorporate the absolute high and the absolute low of that engulfing bar, okay? For the other system that Dennis is referring to, our winning momentum strategy, you also incorporate the wicks at the time that the RSI crosses that 50 line. Absolutely.
Vince, this question is from a gentleman who's got a lovely name. His name is Vince.
Great name.
He's asking, so does the trade have to be above or below the 20 SMA?
Again, it doesn't matter how far that pullback happens. What matters is that at the time that you get the setup, that you still maintain that slope. So you can see here, we're in a downward momentum, and during this pullback, you can see the moving average kind of shifted over a little, but it's still pointing lower, sharply lower. So that means momentum is in your favor, and it's still perfectly fine to take that trade.
Bill's asking, do the engulfing setups have to be only during a pullback?
They can, no, well, yes, I mean, you know, a lot of times, and let me show you another chart here. Let's see. For example, this was a rare occurrence, okay? A rare occurrence. Now, on Nike, we got this set up here. But if you want to follow it through, there were setups all throughout. This was a very rare occurrence. You don't see this very often. And they were over and over and over again. And so there was really no pullback. And what it means is momentum was just extremely strong at this point. So what I tell my students is, if you're more of an aggressive trader, you can add to your position at every new setup here, okay? But if you're more conservative like me, you can just read this as further confirmation that you made the right decision and you're in the right trade, okay? And it helps you remain in the trade longer. So ideally, I would prefer to see a pullback or a sideways consolidation and then get the signal. I'd rather not chase, but when you have very strong momentum, this tends to happen, okay?
Most popular question, you want to guess what it is? Does it work on smaller and other time?
Oh, yes, it absolutely does, and it also works on futures and Forex. Why don't I bring up a couple of other charts here for you, and let's look at gold, for example, okay? So here's a chart of the gold futures, and right in here was a nice setup, okay? Right in here was another one. Again, you know, nothing changes. The settings remain the same. The rules remain the same. What's in our favor, and it's not magic, okay? There's no special formula here. This is straightforward technical analysis, all right? But it's that trend and momentum that is in your favor. When you're trading with those two things, you've already won half the battle. The other thing I should say is that what we typically find is that when you do get a trigger in, it tends to move in your favor immediately, okay? And that's huge for a couple of reasons. Remember at the beginning I said trade is much more important about how you manage a trade once you're in it, and that you need to remain calm and think clearly. Well, if it moves in your favor immediately and you're already in profit, it's going to be much easier to remain calm and think your way through that trade. The other thing is, many of you trade options here, and you know that if you get into an option trade and it goes against you, that loss in premium is so much more difficult to make up. In other words, you're going to need a much greater move in your favor to not only make back that loss, but then put you in profit. Well, if it moves in your favor immediately and you start making money and your deltas start to increase with your options, it's that much better. So it's huge.
Peter, Dan, George, VT, Bruce, Dennis, James, we will try to get to your questions. There are a lot of questions, so
Okay.
we're going to try to get to as many as we can.
Sure.
But I know that you wanted to bring in Jeffrey.
Yeah, why don't we bring Jeffrey on so he can show off all the hard work he's done on the Metastock indicator and show you how easy that's going to make you make your life in finding these setups. And then I will come back on finish my presentation, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. So let's Jeffrey.
Jeff, I'm going to make you presenter.
Okay.
And let me know when you've got the controls, and off you go.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And just to confirm, which screen is being shown? Let me see. Do you see PowerPoint or two beautiful girls?
I've seen two beautiful young ladies.
All right. Let's go ahead and do this one then. All right. Very cool. Thanks for having me. It's been a process. It's been really, really fun, and I'm glad we got everything working, and I'm very proud of the work. Vince and I think, are probably going to share a beer, and after kind of the work that we've done to put this in. That
Jeffrey, sorry to interrupt, but I don't think one's going to be enough after all this.
But we got everything. Everything looks good, and let's go ahead and get going. I do have to read this because, you know, my lawyers make me. Let's go ahead and say this. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock, the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Whew. Okay. We got that out of the way. My job at Metastock, I've been there for about 18 years. Just to give you a little bit of background to me today, we don't have a lot of time, but I've worked for Metastock for 18 years, and it's a great place to work. I love it. The first 10 years I worked in sales, and the last 10 years I've been working with people that I would say are smarter than me when it comes to trading, like Vince. And really, I get to really kind of sit down and really get into the analytics of what drives the system, and by doing that we get a lot of really big rewards out of it, and I really want to focus on really kind of what the automation is going to bring to the table in terms of the system, and you know, the ability to scan through and now find setups and really not have to look at charts. The setup's very, very easy, but we've kind of drilled it down to a point where you can just literally look at the ones that actually have setups or triggers today, and it's phenomenal. We can tell you what your stop loss is going to be. So to give you just a little bit of background on Metastock, we've been doing software around technical analysis since 1982, and the one thing that we're super proud of is we've actually been rated #1 by the readers of Stocks and Commodities 23 years in a row this year, which is something we're pretty proud of. But really, again, I don't want to kind of get focused in a PowerPoint. I want to show you this. So I've got a chart open, and we're just going to kind of show you exactly what everything is and how to use it, how to apply the studies to your charts, how to see everything. So I've opened up a chart of Nike here, and of course I've got the simple moving average on there as well. And what I want to do is I just want to show you how to apply, first of all, the rules to the system, and we do that through a method that we call Expert Advisor. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this guy in the top hat. He's our expert, and the one that we released. You won't have this favorite trade points. We redid it completely since then, and what we're going to do is you're going to have this one that's called Vora favorite trade. I'm just going to attach that to the chart. It's going to think for a minute, and then it's going to kind of give us the identifications of when we should be long and short, where our setups are, where our stop losses are, all that kind of stuff. So you'll notice that we have already, just by attaching that Expert Advisor, it's giving us a little bit of a diamond on the chart every time we have a setup, and you'll see that on the chart. When that setup's triggered, you're going to get a buy arrow, and you'll notice that we're also kind of doing a slope calculation down here, which you may or may not read, but this is just to tell you if we're reading the slope of this as being a positive slope or a negative slope. So you'll see as I kind of zoom out a little bit that it's saying, okay, right now the slope is positive. And you can also see, because it's a green bar, that if you're following this on Nike, you would have triggered into a trade about, well, exactly on March 18th. Okay. In addition to that, what we're doing is we're obviously keeping track of like what the stop loss values are and that kind of stuff. And there's quite a few indicators that kind of come along that you can use and apply to your chart. And I'm going to talk about those first. So what we have here is this is our indicator quick list for Metastock. I'm going to show you, if you're in a long position and you want to see what your stop loss should be, there's quite a few questions about where do I exit or how do I update the stop loss. You can basically grab this out of your quick list. It's called the Bora Favorite Trade Stop Loss for long positions. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And the way I like to look at this indicator, you'll always want to, it's always going to pop up, how do you want to scale this? You want it to match up to your price scale. So when you get this option, choose Merge with Scale on the right every time. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK, and now I've got a visual representation of where that stop loss is. I like to look at it in a slightly different way. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to turn this into a green line, and then I'm going to thicken up. I'm going to make it a little bit like this. This is just kind of a personal preference, but I'll apply that to the chart, and now I just see the actual value for where that line is at any given time. We only calculate this while you're in a position, so you'll notice when you have your setup and then your trigger, you're going to get immediately a stop loss level, and that's going to be visually represented on the chart for you. We also kind of tell you what it is in the commentary, but I'm going to get to that in a second. So the other indicator that you'll use, quite frequently, is this Vince Favorite Trade Setup for shorts. And because obviously your stop losses are going to be different, you'll use that if you're in a short position or a short trade. We've also kind of done a lot of work to automate and kind of help you remember what the rules are for a specific trade. So if I click on here, I'm going to go to View, and I'm just going to open up my expert commentary window, and it does take a few moments to load, especially when your laptop's tired and you're sharing the desktop with everybody. So we'll go ahead and let it load. When I do load in this commentary, what it's going to do is it's going to point to a specific bar. And by default, that's always going to be the last bar of the trade. So over here, it's going to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. We have a little bit of a description of the favorite trade setup right here. But it's also indicating that we're currently in a long trade and that our current stop loss should be at 29.98. This will change. So for example, if I click on a bar over here, the commentary is going to then update for what it would have said that day. And at that point, our current stop is going to be lower. And actually and it's going to give us a different value. If we come in during a setup bar, for example, just going to go one more day over to a setup bar. And I missed it by 1 day, but we'll go over to kind of the setup bar value. It's going to say that, okay, we're currently getting a long opportunity. To confirm this is a valid buying opportunity, you must wait for a trade above 96.79, and the trade below 95.50 would invalidate this trade. And then once long, you should place your initial stop loss at 95.50. We kind of give you some ideas on how you could take advantage of that trade as well. You could either take advantage of the opportunity by buying the stock. If you're an option trader, you could consider intermediate term call options 2 or 3 weeks before expiration. And of course, we give you the exit rules. You should either trail the stop loss according to the setup rules, or basically exit the position 2 weeks before your expiration date. On an exit day, basically if I come back here to an exit day, it's just going to tell you that it's the end of the opportunity. You hit your stop loss level and it's time to go ahead and get out of that particular trade. So basically what we've tried to do is wrap up all the rules in such a way that work and that kind of keep you up to date with what you need. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a short setup here. And let's go ahead and look at the USO example from earlier. With Metastock, I can just start to type in a name of a security or the symbol. And I'm going to leave the chart as a template, so I'm going to go ahead and select the instrument now. Now, you'll notice this is why you don't want to use the long stop loss when you're in a short trade, because it's going to be based on the last value there was a stop for a long. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that from the chart. I just click on delete, it goes away. And here we have the same setup for a short position. In this particular case, we could come in here and we could go ahead and use the Bora Favorite Trade Stop Loss Shorts. We go ahead and click on that. And it's going to go ahead and give us those values, and of course we could make it the same style that we had it before as well. Okay? Are you guys hearing me? There was one comment that said there was no voice. Can you guys hear me okay?
Jeff, it seems to be fine from our end.
Okay.
If there are any problems, we'll take care of them.
Perfect. Awesome. So let me go ahead and delete this particular level off of the chart here. And there is one other indicator. I don't think you'll use it too long, but we did include it. It's called the Vora Favorite Trade Slope. And it's really an indicator that we use to kind of calculate if we were looking at an upward slope or a downward slope. I wouldn't really recommend that you use it in your trade. You're welcome to look at it and use it if you want to, but that's really kind of what we've done to kind of simplify the look of that, is actually put the slope as negative or the slope is positive or the slope is negative right there for you. So that's really kind of in a nutshell how it works. The other thing that we've automated is the scanning process. Because we have this as a rule, we can either look for the setups or the entries. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Power Console here. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to go ahead and click on the Scan button here. And there's two scans that we can set up. And if I hover over them, it'll tell you exactly what it's looking for. So in this particular case, there's a Vince Favorite Trade Setup. This is going to find the triangles for you, or the setup bars, the engulfing bull patterns. So you can build a watch list of what you want to watch for the next day to see if they trigger. The second one is going to actually scan for confirmed entries, so stocks that had a setup yesterday and that have actually triggered into a trade during the current day. And you might use that during the day if you wanted to kind of scan through the markets and see if there was anything that had a setup. Even with our end-of-day package, you'd be able to scan and find something that is triggered during the day today. So either one you could run. It's very simple. You can even run them both if you want against the same list just by clicking both of them here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Vora Favorite Trade Setups. We're going to run that scan. And then I'm just going to move this dialog box, and this is literally going to give us the list of instruments that we have that are available. So here, if I'm interested in Asia or Europe or Middle East or North America, I can kind of go in and drill in, and just as easily I can just select I want to look for the optionable stocks. I go ahead and click on the Start Exploration button, and it's going to go ahead and run that scan for me. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm not going to do that because that's about 4,500 stocks. It would take about maybe 4 minutes to run in my experience. But, you know, I'm going to actually go ahead and do a scan against maybe an index list instead. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. This will bring up index constituents list, and just because it's a very quick list, I'm going to scan against the S&P 100 just to show you what the process looks like. So I've selected my scan up here. I'm going to select S&P 100, and notice I could actually scan as many lists as I want as well. I just kind of check mark what I want to scan, and that's literally how easy it is. Okay. Over here, you're probably not going to change many of these options, if any of them, but I'm going to scan a daily bar. Okay, you can change that. If you have real time, you can go to 60 minutes or 30 minutes. You can even go above that to like weekly and monthly setups if you want to. Okay, I'm going to do a daily bar. You probably won't change that either. This is, in my opinion, something that works great on daily. I'm going to go ahead and click on Start the Exploration. So now what we're doing is we're going to go through those 101 stocks. It's going to go ahead and kind of figure out which ones actually have a sell signal for us. And there will be 2 sell setups. I actually ran this as we were getting ready today, just so I could make sure that when we ran it against just that small list, it was going to give us some results. So this is kind of what you're going to see. Obviously, out of 101 issues, which is the S&P 100 and the index, basically we had only 2 short positions today. Okay, so instead of looking at 101 issues, we're going to look at the 2 of them. And from here, I could either, if it was a much longer list, I can look at either saving it, so I could save this as a list that I could then look at one at a time. But since it's 2 securities, what I'm going to do is I'll just open up Qualcomm. So I can go ahead and open the chart. We'll go ahead and do that. It takes a second to load in all of the functions and the calculations for us, but then we're going to see that there's a setup bar today. It's going to give us our entry positions and where we should look to invalidate that trade. And that seems to be working very, very well. It's also going to tell us where to put our stop loss in. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit on the chart. Okay, and that way you can see it a little bit more clear. There's a potential trade setup for you tomorrow. Again, not a recommendation to buy or sell, but you know, gotta please the legal guys. But that's how it works. Literally, very, very simple. What we've added to the table is the ability to kind of see where those setups happen, have them plot in real time for you, and be able to scan for them. And there are a couple questions coming in. James asked, what can this be used with intraday? What is the time frame, minute, or range? We're looking at a daily chart. And if you have Metastock RT, you could actually apply it to a real-time chart. You could also scan for a intraday interval. And even if you have Metastock DC, you could scan a daily chart to see if anything is triggered during the day. That's a scan you could run pretty much any time you wanted to with either version of Metastock. But yes, you can apply it to intraday periodicities as well. Vince may tell you that that's not advisable, but you can do it to answer the question.
James also had another question. His question was, will it plot entries in real time?
Yes, but I would be careful with that. It will. As soon as you get a trigger, and an entry, yeah, as soon as it triggers, you're going to go ahead and take the position. But with the setup bars, you might get an engulfing pattern during the day, but the stock sells off or sells up during the day, and then it's invalidated, and it will go away in real time as well. The way the actual triggers happen is if you get a trigger, you will get that, and it'll show up, and it'll show up real time. There's also, that reminds me of something else that I wanted to show you. If you ran a scan against your watch list and you just wanted to kind of keep your chart open and maybe be alerted to the fact that your trigger happened, I actually did program that as functionality you can use. So if I just click on my Expert Advisor right here, I'm going to come in here and you'll just click on Edit. Now when you click on Edit, it's actually going to ask you for a password. Just go ahead and click on Cancel. But if you click on the Alerts tab right here, and it'll still let you into this particular dialog box. But you'll click on this Alert tabs, and you'll notice that I have long buys and long setups and long exits, and short buys with short setups and short exits. So let's say, for example, we scanned, we found this as a short setup for possibly tomorrow, and I just wanted to be alerted if it happened. I could literally just turn on this little setup here, and what it's going to do is it'll actually pop up an alert on screen. That's not all, though, either. You could leave this chart open and running, and you could actually set it up to send you an email that your trigger had happened. Now, in that particular case, I did use the wrong example. We've already scanned and found the setup happened. I'm going to actually do the short buy here. And if you actually click in here, the alert that you'll get by default is a text-only pop-up. But if you could put in an email address into Metastock, you can actually have it send you an alert by email. So then you can see it on your phone and stuff like that. So it does happen in real time. Your triggers will happen as soon as you get that. You'll get, if you turn on the alert, it's going to give you a pop-up alert. And you can even have it send you an email just by giving the Metastock program an email address. Marco asked another question. Thanks for the question, Marco. What trade system is this indicator using? Well, we've programmed Vince's favorite trade setup and all of the rules into Metastock. And so that means you can use it with Metastock or Metastock RT, Ben. Peter asked a question. I think I'm going to ask you to rephrase that. You would get all the setups there that had the appropriate engulfing pattern. If it doesn't trigger, and that's what you're thinking is a fault setup, it's not going to give you a trade. Ben's asked, can I always day trade on the 5-minute chart. Can I use this system? Absolutely, Ben. How to set up an audible alarm? Yep, you can have it play a video or a sound file. You just say play a video, play a sound, and then point it to your God Save the Queen file or whatever you wanted it to play. That's up to you. You just browse and find a sound. So, and you can do that. Marco clarified his question a little bit. This is Vince's favorite trade setup, is the official name for it. Peter says, if you're looking at a shorter time frame, would you get a lot of fault signals? Well, technically, you'd only get real signals, but you might get a lot more whipsaw. I haven't really looked at it on an intraday time frame, but you can. Marco, it is not using RSI. Not at all. I'm very, very intimately familiar with the rules. John asked, can we use some of our own indicators, LE, PE ratio, debt ratios on Metastock? you can use, there's about 300 built-in indicators that are in the Metastock platform. If you have PE ratios and you want to push them into Metastock, you can if the file is set up properly. Mike asked a good question. I use the Thinkorswim platform. Will it work on that platform? We coded it specifically for Metastock. So, but Metastock's not a broker, which means you don't have to go in and put in $5,000 to get going with us. It's a very, very cost-effective program. And what I would say is Thinkorswim is great. I use it. I usually really, for their mobile application, I really, really enjoy it. What Metastock's really going to bring to the table that isn't as easy in Metastock, aside from Vince's setup, is the ability to go in and do real scanning and scan entire markets, and the ability to look at different markets. And of course, Vince's setup is a huge part of that. Ben asked, can I use Renko charts? Oh, absolutely, you can. You just there is Renko charting available in Metastock. William asked, is the code editable? A lot of what we actually ended up doing with the code, William, was actually putting it in a DLL. And that was so that we could kind of track the positions properly. As a result, the code is not visible because you really would need the source code for the DLL, which we're not going to hand out. Okay, Troy asked a great question. How do I get Metastock and how much is it? Well, I actually am prepared to talk about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into the software. Really kind of another of my goals was to kind of get you enough interest in Metastock and what it could do to kind of get you interested in a free trial. Again, I wouldn't trade without it. And hopefully with the trade setups and the Vince's favorite system, it's going to be something that you love as well. The cost of it, we have an end-of-day version, which is $60 a month. You can either do that on a free trial, or you can buy one and get two free. The thing about the end-of-day version of the program is it still gives you access to intraday charts. So like I was saying before, if you wanted to go ahead and scan the market during the day for triggers, you'd be able to do that in either version of the program. We also have a full version of Metastock Professional, which is a fully real-time version. It comes with Thomson Reuters news and information and a product that they developed for the cost of $1 billion. And it's $250 a month. The offer that we have for either of those platforms is just try it for a month. If you like it, keep it. If you're willing to pay for a month, we'll actually give you 2 additional months as part of it. Okay. How do you get it? If you go to metastock.com/tradewinsa, that'll be a page that'll allow you to get a free trial. If you want to do the 3-for-1 offer, which I'd recommend, you can pay $20 a month, and it's April 2nd today. You'll literally, for $20 a month, be using Metastock, the end-of-day version, May, June, and July, for $20 a month. And by the end of 3 months, you'll absolutely know whether or not it's going to be really helpful for you. Most of our customers well, keep it. I guess that kind of goes without saying because they're our customers. But most of our customers are very, very successful with what they're doing. It's really a great software application. Joanne asked another question. It's a really good one. I just want to get Vince's system. I have Metastock. What is the price for Vince's system? The cool thing is it actually comes with the training, and I'm going to let Vince talk about that and kind of what that involves and that kind of stuff. But it comes with all of the rules, all of the setups, how everything works, and he's going to talk about that in just a second. Henry, one of our longtime customers, says it's one of the best support out there. I agree with that. All of our support here is right here in Utah. And very well trained, really know what they're doing, and will help you kind of get set up. The other thing that we're offering as part of the trial, either if you do the buy one get two free offer, or if you do the free trial, is we're going to send you our advanced training curriculum. Because I'm really just highlighting what Metastock will do with Vince's favorite trade setup. There's a huge amount of stuff that it will do in addition to that. And so we're going to give you a full course that kind of talks about like our patent pending forecaster process, which really does a good job of looking at some statistics and giving you a probable price projected based on a technical event. And it'll tell you really kind of, okay, step by step, here's how you run the scans, or here's how system testing works. So we're going to include a course with your trial on that. Now I know, and I don't want to kind of overstate my time here, because I know Vince wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the course. So I'm going to if you do have questions, please email me, jeffrey.gibby@metastock.com. I'll answer them. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way a little bit and let Vince come back in, because I know he wanted to talk a little bit about the class. By the way, just in case I did not mention it, the setups come for free as part of the class.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. And really thank you for all your work on this. There were a lot of late nights that Jeff had to put into this, but I'm really pleased with what he's done. And as he said, the main thing here that you need with this is the course. Even though you have the indicator, you should understand what's behind it. So we've got a class coming up, our pro class, on April 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a 2-hour class. It will be recorded if that time doesn't work for you. I'll be teaching the class myself, and I'm going to show you the full system from entry to exit. I'm actually going to cover 5 exit strategies, but focus on the one that is programmed into this indicator, okay? And I'm also going to teach you a very unique way to add support and resistance that can really increase the accuracy of this setup. Also teach you 2 different Fibonacci tools, one we use for the entries and one we use for the exits. And I'm also going to teach you 4 additional trade setups that you can look for during that pullback and that reversal signal. Right at that point for the reversal signals, I'm going to give you 4 additional setups, so that'll keep you very active. And as a bonus, we'll give you another tool in addition to the indicator, another tool that will save you hours and hours of research time. It's really, really neat. And together, we're going to do a search for real-time trades coming up that week. So the link for this is tradingwins.com/auto. But before you order, let me tell you exactly what you're going to get so you know that it's right for you. So the indicator that Jeffrey's worked so hard on that you just saw, our favorite trade setup Metastock add-on, a recording of the previous pro class that we did, so that you don't even have to wait until the 17th, a seat at the live class, and a 30-day membership to our pro service. And let me just tell you a bit about that if you're not part of our team yet here at Trading Wins. Our pro service is the best way to get access to all our systems. You get real-time alerts showing entries, stops, profit targets. It's really the best part of our service. You also get premium nightly videos from Sunday to Thursday that teach you how to trade the various systems we have. And you get access to a members-only weekly chat that we have. We had one this morning. It happens every Thursday from 10 to 11 Eastern, and they are recorded in case you can't make it. And in addition to that, on our site, we have a library of past educational sessions, and you can also re-attend any of the pro webinars that you've paid for in the past. So it's a great value, and for non-members, we're giving you 30 days as well. So together, all of this is $1,188, but as a special for this webinar and to really show off our Metastock add-on, the whole package is just $397. Okay, the link again is tradingwins.com/auto, and for the class, we do limit it to 25 people because we need to answer all your questions. But let me show you how to actually order this. So when you go to the link, let me just bring this into focus here. There we go. When you go to tradingwins.com/auto, it'll take you to this page. If you click on Take the Course here, it'll take you to this page. What you want to do, okay, is go to the coupon code here. Go to the coupon code. Sorry, I don't know why this is at 2. Let me reduce that. Go to the coupon code and type in save 100. Okay, right there. That will give you the credit for the class, and once you apply that, you'll see that your total cost here is just $397. Okay, just $397. So I'm really excited about the indicator. Again, I think Jeff's done a fantastic job with it, and I can't wait to start using it myself. especially the scan feature. It's going to be great. So bring Raul back on if we have any other questions. Hopefully Jeffrey can stay on with us for a few more minutes and answer any other questions that you have.
Jeff, I'm also going to open your mic as well because I think there are some questions that are relevant to you here. Sandy's asking, what if we're already pro members and have taken the class? Is there any relief on the purchase price?
Yes. If you've already taken the class, we will discount another $97 off that. Whatever you paid for that class, we will we'll refund you that portion.
When will the system be delivered if they buy it today?
Jeffrey, how I guess actually, let me ask our tech guys here. How quickly will it be done? Instantly. Okay, they're telling me instantly. So as soon as you order the add-on, will be delivered to you, and you'll get details by email with regards to the previous recording and the link for the class and all that information.
Ian says, so Vince, I see that I have to get up at 3 a.m. again to watch this next session from Sydney.
Ian, like I said, one of these days we are going to make our way over to your hometown there and do an event live. I've always wanted to see Australia, and we'll try to make it as convenient for you as possible.
I can promise you this, Ian, if you're holding a webinar at 3 a.m. local time here, we'll be sure to get up to
we'll join that webinar for sure.
Somebody had asked a question earlier whether they can use Metastock and this particular system to backtest. Jeffrey?
You can't use Metastock to do backtesting. That's a very good question. In fact, I kind of answered that a little bit in chat a little bit. I think it's one of the best system testers in the market. We do have the ability for us to go in and say, okay, well, I want to test this trading idea and this trading methodology over a whole basket of instruments. System testing, though, hasn't been made available for this system. It's something I can talk to Vince about adding. It wouldn't be very hard, but I think it's a decision that we'd want to make offline.
James was asking, is Vince's setup available with the buy one, get two free special?
Yes, as long as you're a course member. So if you've gone through the course, which I'd recommend, then you're going to get that as part of the course. So, and that's kind of the strategy that we're going to use. As long as you go to the class and you understand how to use everything, you just automatically get part of it as part of the course. So if you're a course member, you can sign up for the 3-for-1 special, absolutely, and but you get the add-on as part of the course.
Joan is asking you, Vince, if she can attend the class, when and how much is the recording?
The recording is all included. Actually, you'll receive two. After you place your order, about half hour or so later, you'll receive a link to the previous Pro Class recording, and then shortly after that event on the 17th is complete, you'll receive that recording as well. So it's all included.
Bruce is asking, and for the tech guys here, Vince, what's the cost of just the add-on, please? So I guess he doesn't want to attend the class. Maybe he's attended in the past.
Well, no, that's why we're saying if you've attended in the past, we'll refund the money for that portion of it. But the whole package is the $397.
Will the system work on options?
Yeah, absolutely. Any instrument, futures, forex, any time frame, absolutely will. And that's another reason for the market chats on Thursday. You get to come in and ask any question you like. We've had some fantastic sessions. We had another great one today. And whether it's on this system, other systems, it's all included for you.
Question for you, Jeff, from James. Is Metastock compatible with DTN-IQ feed?
No. But we're including a Thomson Reuters feeds with either of the products. So generally, I've had a lot of people that have canceled other data feeds. So I'd encourage you to either do the trial or the extended trial. Take a look at our real-time product offerings. I think you'll be pretty impressed. I spend a lot of time on them and a lot of money. I mean, they have programmers everywhere. And they've spent well over $1 billion actually developing out the real-time data platforms. The market coverage is incredible. They cover 95% of the global market cap. You're really going to be able, I think you'll be really relatively impressed. Just try it out, see if you like it.
You know, Raul, can I say one other thing before it slips my mind? The indicator, we decided to program it for a few reasons. One was just the overall convenience of it, saving you time, having those scan features and showing you those buys and sells. But really, one of the driving forces behind it was that one of the biggest problems most traders have are with discipline. Okay, once they're in that trade, they're so worried about it going against them that they tend to exit early. Okay, now the one exit strategy that we've used over the years that has been the most reliable is the one that we've programmed in, and it will really help you remain disciplined. In other words, once you get that buy signal, that trigger, and you're in, you just have to wait for the system to tell you when to exit. So it really does the work for you, which is fantastic.
A lot of our members have full-time jobs. Sorry, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
Full-time jobs. What benefit will this Metastock system have for them?
Well, I think, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but that scan feature alone will save them a lot of time. And visually, just checking in and following up on your open positions, it's a split second to tell, whether you should stay in the trade or not.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, you're looking, just the ability to go in and say, okay, well, I don't want to look at, in our example, we only did 100 stocks, and we came up with 2 that had setups today that were actionable. If we only want to focus on the stocks that make sense when they make sense, having the scanning and being able to pick between the 2 that we had instead of the 101 and seeing if there's setups and all that kind of stuff is huge. And then having everything kind of fed to you so that you're sure you're not misinterpreting the rules, where your stops are, all that kind of stuff is very, very critical. What I was going to pipe up and say before is I also kind of take credit for being kind of the driving force for putting this into Metastock. I saw this same class months ago with Vince, just before the end of the year, actually, and I said, this is something that we want to have in Metastock. I mean, it is. It's something that we really, it's cool.
Does the Reuters feed include stocks and futures?
Yes, absolutely. And when you go through this trial setup process, it's going to ask you what region you're interested in. So it'll say, well, are you interested in North America stuff, or interested in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or South Africa. And if you pick North America, for example, you're going to have access to all of the futures as well as all of the stocks in North America at the same price.
Jeff, also for you, Bruce wants to know, is the scan able to pick up weekly options?
I'm not sure I'm interpreting that question correctly. So
that may be a better question for Vince.
Well, it's not so much that, really you don't want to take the triggers off the charts of the options. You want to take it on the charts of the underlying. So, Bruce, you absolutely can use weekly options with this, especially, for example, if you get a trigger to the long side and you want to sell put credit spread, for example. You want as short a time to expiry as possible. So you can absolutely use weekly options, but you don't want to run your scan off the weekly option. You just want to use that optionable, that list of optionable stocks that Jeffrey showed earlier, and then incorporate your options with that.
And just in case I didn't show it, there is a list of all the stocks that have options. It's about 4,500, and so you can just say scan all these, and it will help you pick that underlying, as we've been talking about.
Vince, we didn't talk about Forex. The system obviously works well on Forex as well.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Again, all instruments, all time frames, absolutely.
To answer Mark's question about is there a separate charge for futures data in Metastock? No, futures and Forex will be included with whatever package or region that you sign up for.
Yeah. And Ian just reinforced the point, which is exactly right. I don't know. I'll read it out. Sorry. Thanks for your comment, Ian. He says, Vince, your system is simple and easily understandable anyway, so this will only make life that much easier and probably more accurate when it comes to exit timing. And absolutely, the exit is one of the more difficult parts of trading, and this, having the system tell you when to exit, is a bigger help than you might think for most people. So thanks for that, Ian.
Jeff, Sandy's asking, is there optional analysis in Metastock?
Yeah, well, let me kind of phrase it in such a way. In Zenith, which is the feed that comes with our real-time, there's a lot of option calculators and option pricing guides and stuff like that. In Metastock, not so much. Actually, really, we have about 40% of our users use Metastock, and what they're looking to do, and the way I like to say it is, if I can figure out if the right strategy for bullish or bearish, for example, then I kind of have half of the option game figured out. So that's the side of it we're trying to help you with Metastock. Which stocks have the triggers that are optionable, so then I can look at what strategy I want to take with that, whether it's just buying a simple put or call or a different strategy. But what we're really helping you do is identify that underlying. It's a good question.
A question from Masood is, what about teaching the Metastock software? If someone hasn't used it before, is it difficult to become proficient at it?
Yes and no. I mean, it definitely is a toolbox, and the better you understand how to use that toolbox, the better it's going to work for you. If you use Vince's stuff, you're definitely going to want to know how to run scans, for example, and how that works. And you're definitely going to know how to kind of apply the expert to your templates. And doing that is actually a very simple process. If you just did kind of what I did earlier today, you're going to be there. If you want to kind of get into some of the programming your own scans or programming your own setups and kind of the bigger functionality, obviously the learning curve will be quite a bit more. So it depends on how far you want to go down that, and it is a very, very big tool. We are going to provide tons of training, and you can go as deep as that down that path as you want to.
Vince, Peter had asked earlier, excuse me, do you consider support and resistance?
Yeah, and it's a great question, and a great part of the class that we're going to have on the 17th. We actually have a unique way of adding support and resistance, and what it really does, it's much more than just making the system more accurate, but it really helps you differentiate between the very high probability setups and the average ones. So the support and resistance combined with the Fibonacci tools really help you pick out those one or two best trades per night. So the material covered in the class is really a big part of this.
Jeff, one of our members had asked earlier, will this work on a Mac? It's not PC exclusive, correct?
That's a really good question. It will work on a Mac, but it requires that you install a product called Boot Camp or Parallels and Windows. It is a Windows-based product. So we do have a lot of customers that successfully use it on a Mac in a Windows world.
Great. I see Sandy's here. Welcome, Sandy. It's good to have you on. Sandy wants to know, is there option analysis in Metastock? Oh, did you?
We already did. That's okay.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Jay's asking, so it's only one time $300, then the monthly Metastock cost. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Bruce is asking, can price and volume be adjusted and set for minimum and maximum?
Yes. In that particular case, what I would probably recommend that you do, Bruce, is what we call a pre-filter scan. And it's very, very easy to set up. In fact, I can help you set it up. One of our tech guys can help you set up. But what you're going to say is, I want the close to be greater than $5 and less than $50, and I want the volume to be 90,000 shares or whatever. That you would set up as a scan that you could then scan the entire list of, let's say, optionables, and then you'd save that list, and that would be the list that you scan every day is how I would recommend you do it. But it's actually a very easy setup.
Ian, you'll see that, sorry, Jeff, you'll see that Ian is saying to you, time you realized how much better Macs are. Jeff, let me introduce you to our excellent member, Ian. He's from Australia, and he always provides us excellent content for our sessions. We're always happy when he joins us.
It's a good point. We actually get a lot more questions about Mac than we ever have in history. I remember when I started, and remember I've been working here for 18 years, and we'd get somebody call and ask for it on a Mac maybe like one time every 6 months or so. Apple has gotten a lot more popular, and at some point in the future, we're redesigning code with multiple platforms in mind. I'll just say it that way. It's not a promise that it's going to be soon. There's definitely a lot of code in Metastock, but as we redesign the code, we're doing it with Macs and cross-platform in mind.
This question from Brenda, is how do I get my $97 discount for the course that I've already paid?
If once you order, if you just send us an email to info@tradingwinds.com, just letting us know that you have purchased and you've taken the class before, and our staff will process a refund for your class and send you an email confirmation.
I was just laughing at Ian's comment.
Ian says, when you do that, Jeffrey, I'll go pro with Metastock.
Peter asks, where's the location and the basic learning? Everything's online for the training on Metastock, and that'll be sent to you with your order. So it's a little bit of a workbook that you can kind of print out and go with, and it goes along with a video course. And James, to answer your question, 801 is Salt Lake City, Utah.
And folks, if you don't know Jeffrey, he is a tireless worker. I know he's been working, I've sort of been in the office watching him and Vince working on this for the better part of the last few weeks, and it seems like the work never ends and they're always in the office. So I wanted to thank you, Jeff, for that.
Yeah, I'm taking a break tomorrow, though.
Well deserved.
To answer your question, $59 a month does include Reuters data. So you'll get stocks and you'll get futures and you'll get Forex for whatever region you pick. All of the prices that I quoted actually include the Reuters data.
Vince, what's the best reason to attend the class on the 17th if you've never attended one of these classes before?
Well, I mean, we cover a lot of material, and you know, it's usually great because we get people from different backgrounds, different levels of experience.
Different countries.
Different countries, yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, the questions that come up in addition to the material we cover leads us into other areas of technical analysis and options and so on. So we actually do end up covering more than what we always say here, but it really helps you understand the system completely, and the whole goal of the class is for you to walk away and completely be able to trade this on your own. And now with the help of the indicator there, it really I think it really helps you completely be on your own with this. Even though we are always here to answer your questions, for sure.
Jeff, for you, there's lots of different indicators and platforms out there. What's the best thing about Metastock?
They pay me.
What's the second best thing?
Well, like I often get questions, and there's actually one at Ninja right now about Ninja, or Thinkorswim is obviously a great platform, and there's a lot of really good platforms out there. For me, and it's actually been very beneficial for me on a professional level as well. There's no way I would have been able to kind of program what Vince wanted to do in Ninja or in eSignal or in some of the other platforms that you're asking about. I kind of boil it down to ease of use to some degree. One of the things about Metastock is if you want to create a scan where you're looking for a basic volume filter, it's going to be very, very easy for you. You're not going to have to learn how to go in and code JavaScript, for example, or some programming language. It's all very formula-driven and very formula language related. And so ease of use is a big one. We do have our patent-pending forecaster, which is really, really cool. I actually use it almost every time I place a trade. And there's some information about that on the videos on the website when you go to sign up for your trial. Also, the built-in systems and the system testers and the way we can kind of test trading ideas against 100 or 200 or 1,000 or 4,000 stocks at a time kind of give you a good feel for what works and what stocks they work against. So I would say it's a bunch of things. It depends on who you're at. If you're a beginner trader, it's going to be the built-in systems and the ability to get Vince's methods just really kind of fed to you and to understand your stocks, how you learn them. If you're more advanced and not a programmer, it'll be the customizability to be able to kind of go ahead and use Vince's work and then add your pre-filter scans, or it's just it's a more well-balanced program. There's a reason we've won 23 years in a row the #1 award. People love it. I love it. I wouldn't trade without it personally.
No, I know. In our industry, attrition is a big deal, and the fact that you've been at this company for 18 years, I think, speaks volumes to the quality of the product. Question from Niru is, what's the special advantage of real-time version of Metastock? I'm assuming it's more than just the real-time data.
It is. Well, it is. With the real-time package, you're also going to get a product called Metastock Zenith, which we won't even touch on this particular class. But Metastock Zenith, if you're interested in news, you get it from Reuters. If you're interested in fundamentals, you get it from Reuters. If you're interested in, basically what we've taken with Zenith is we've white-labeled their Zenith product, which they sell against Bloomberg, and we've white-labeled it. We call it Zenith. They call it Thomson Reuters Icon. And so in addition to being able to do everything, obviously, real-time in Metastock, you're just going to have it, you'll be able to do everything from going in to see what Fed events are coming up to seeing how Apple is trending on Twitter. Or, it's just an incredibly cool application to be able to look at information. And Reuters is famous for their news. They have 30,000 reporters on the ground. They're famous for their data feeds. So that's why I say pretty comfortably to the person that was using DTNIQ, try Metastock real-time. I don't think you're going to go back to DTNIQ. I think I've had people call me and say, I've just canceled my Bloomberg. I'm saving $1,850 a month, and I'm using Metastock from here out. I think you'll love it.
Yeah, I really I want to add to that because I've been in this industry for 3 decades now, and I was around when we used to do everything manually, including writing up tickets to place orders, and so I've seen the development in the software, and I've worked for some of the largest firms on the street and had the advantage of testing all those softwares. And this Zenith product that Jeffrey's referring to is very, very impressive, I must say. It's the closest thing, and really is what you get as a pro at any of the big firms, and most of them don't even have anything even comparable to this. It is really an impressive product, I must say.
Walter was saying that he was having trouble getting to the link, tradingwins.com/auto. Walter, we've got your information on file, and we will give you a call at the end of this webinar. One of the account reps will call you. If there's another phone number where you'd like us to contact you, you can put that in the chat, and we'll send that over to the account reps to give you a call. We'll save you a spot. Vince, Jeff, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Excellent presentation as always. The system looks amazing.
Yeah, I really want to thank Jeffrey and his staff at Metastock. Like you said, they've been working tirelessly and done a really, really nice job with it. I'm really happy with it, and also looking forward to using it. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I know how valuable your time is, and really appreciate you being on with us. Let's see, just double check if there's any other last minute questions. If not, we'll cover that.
Ben saying I'll be attending Mr. Vince's course, and I am very interested in taking the Metastock real-time data trial. Please tell me how much it is and how much do I pay to get started.
Well, our package with the add-on is $397. That gets you the course, that gets you the recordings, the Metastock add-on, the 30-day membership, and Jeffrey, I'll let you chime in with what he gets with the real-time version.
So
Mike
the real-time. Oh yeah, I'll chime in a second.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I hate it when I feel like I'm talking over somebody. It's the real time you could either do as a free trial, and that'll get you just everything, as if you were a paying member. You can also do the 3-for-1, which will cost you about $250 for 3 months. I will also mention that you probably won't stay on the Metastock subscriptions very long. If you decide you like them, you should call one of our sales guys and do a one-time purchase instead of a lease. But we always set up the leases as a good way for you to try them, because you can try the lease for free, or you can try it on an extended trial and really make sure that it works well for you.
Mike was saying that he's having trouble with Discover. Mike, we will call you right after the webinar if you can put your phone number in the chat to help you with that. James was asking, does the $59 Metastock end of day, does the $59 Metastock include end of day and real time?
Sort of. A big answer if you ever had one, right? The $59 Metastock end of day actually updates every hour during the market. So if you are somebody that works all day and just wants to be able to run scans with Metastock, it's probably a good idea for you to get the end of day version. But even with the end of day version, if you had time to run a scan during the day, you'd be able to see anything that triggered during the day because we update and we refresh the data every hour during the market.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. We've still got a couple of questions. We can take those offline. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, this evening, this morning, depending on where you are.
Yeah. Just want to mention our staff will still be here for a little while. If you have any questions that you think of after we sign off, by all means, give us a call or email us at info@tradingwinds.com. We'll do our best to answer them.
Jeff, thank you so much for spending the better part of your day with us today.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. It was great.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we will see you down the road.
Have a great night.